Hi everyone, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a try on of a whole bunch of Kiss makeup. Now I realize there is absolutely no logo on this bag, but this thing has got quite a lot of products in here, so we're gonna give these a go. I am mostly familiar about Kiss products through their eyelashes. They make some of the best drugstore eyelashes on the market, and in fact, I think they might actually be the best that I've tried. It depends on which style you're going for, but I find the ones with their invisible bands are phenomenal. So they really do lashes quite well, and I'm curious to see how they do makeup. I've thrown my hair back and zoomed you in, and we're gonna start with the eyes because that's how I prefer to do my makeup. And I've got an eyeshadow palette here. This is their Hexa palette eyeshadow. So it's palette eyeshadow instead of eyeshadow palette. And this one is labeled as a pink nude, which is a little bit surprising to me because when you actually look at the eyeshadow, those don't look like pink nudes to, well, okay, maybe more so on camera. I was gonna say in person I see a lot more copper tones in here, but I can see how they can come across pink as well. You know, straight off the bat, I have to say I'm so happy that there is no horrible brush or sponge tip applicator in this eyeshadow palette. There's only room for the eyeshadow, which is exactly what I want to see in drugstore makeup. I don't need a brush. Actually, high-end has a lot of brushes as well. Just put the eyeshadow in there. I don't need a brush. Okay, so the shadows themselves don't have names, so I can't really call them anything, but I'm going to be taking this one right here and putting it through my crease. Oh, wow. Okay. 2 seconds ago, I stuck my finger in them just to see what kind of color pigmentation I was going to get on them, and they were so soft and buttery, and there's apparently quite a lot of pigment in them as well. Kiss is one of those brands that I tend to see a lot at Walmart, but more recently, and I'm not sure if it's like in the last few months or the last few years, but I've been seeing them a lot more at Rexall drugstores here in Canada. I don't think I've ever seen them at Shoppers, but they're definitely at Rexall and Walmart. It's funny, this palette is quite shimmery looking in the pan, but a lot of it is, it's still shimmery, but it's quite deep in tone, so it's coming off a lot better than I was expecting for a transition color. For the lid, I want to do something a little bit bolder and darker, so I'm going to be taking this, I want to call it a copper color, but I think it's going to end up coming off quite pink on the lids, and I'm just going to take that on a flat brush and put that directly, it's like a copper pink. Anyway, I'm putting it directly on the lid, covering the whole thing. That's kind of cool, actually. Usually copper tends to be a little bit more on the orange side of things, or at least that's how I think of copper. But this one's like a pink toned orange, kind of. There's definitely a little bit of orange in there. Or maybe I'm just telling myself that because I don't love pink. I had already primed my eyes, by the way, with my own eyeshadow primer. There was no primer in this collection of makeup that I received. Okay, next I need to do the outer corner. So I'm going to be taking the darkest shade in this palette, which appears to be a matte shade, which is good. I'm taking that on a MAC 217 and just putting that in the outer corner. And then I do a lot of patting motions, so I pat it in place and then pat it through my crease. And that just blends the transition color with the outer corner color with the lid shade. That was heckin' pigmented too. These are really easy to apply. They just go on really softly but pigmented and then blend out nicely. And not a lot of work is involved with them as far as I've noticed. For the brow bone, I'm going to be taking the lightest shade in the palette, also a matte, I believe. And just popping that directly on. Oh, that's a good shade match for me. For the inner corner color, I'm going to be taking the one just beside the biggest pan, which is probably the lightest, palest shimmery shade in this palette. I'm just going to pop that directly in the inner corner and then drag it upwards to blend it. You know, this palette is actually giving me Naked Heat vibes. And in a far more condensed palette too. The Naked Heat was a very large palette with a lot of similar colors that was beautiful, but just too same. For the lower lash line, I'm going in with a pencil brush on that same copper pink shade. Maybe it's copper red. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. And I'm just going to put that along the whole lash line. And then for the outer corner, back with the darker color, and just connect the outer corner to the lower lash line. Now I've been really enjoying a kind of blown out eye, I guess you could call it, lately, so I'm going to go back in with the transition color, which was this one here, on a fluffy brush, and I'm just going to apply that to the very outside edge of my eyeshadow. And this blown out effect, if that's what you want to call it, helps to soften this outer edge and just sort of like elongate the eye and bring out the shadow further. It can feel really weird to do it at first because you feel like you're taking your eyeshadow way too far. And that's what it felt like to me for the longest time. But when I see it in pictures, I'm always like, oh, that's really pretty. I put on some liquid liner and some mascara because there was none, again, in this bag. But now we're going to move on to the lower lash line, and I'm going to put on this Luxury Intense eyeliner. So this is a retractable eyeliner, and I think I have the shade Bronze. Yeah, Bronze. I'm going to put that on my lower lash line. Oh, that's soft. That's nice. I hate when you get a pencil eyeliner and you go to put on your lower waterline and it's just like chalk, like it won't come off. This comes off really nicely. Also, a note about retractable eyeliners. I realize this is such a simple thing, but it's so nice that it goes up and then back down. There's some that for whatever reason only go up and never go back down, and there's been a few times where I've started to roll it up and been like, oh, can I go back down? And it doesn't, and I'm like, well, I guess I lost a little bit of product because then the cap won't go back on properly. Anyway, this one went on really nicely. Of course, I'm going to be putting on a pair of Kiss lashes. I love these, but I haven't tried these ones before. They are their True Volume Ritzy Natural Black Lashes. These are the kinds I really like by them. I think I've tried a different one. I think it might have been called Precious, but the ones with the clear band and the slight clustering, those are so nice. What's going to be new for me today is trying out their Lash Adhesive. I generally swear by House of Lashes, but I'm willing to give something else a go. What's nice about these is that they are latex free, which can be great for a lot of people that have latex allergies. Just gonna see if I have to cut these down at all. Actually, no. Wow, that's gonna be the first time ever where I can actually just put a lash on without having to cut it down. It's impressive. And their lash adhesive does come with a brush tip, which is so nice. It's so much easier to apply lash glue with the brush tip, as opposed to one where you have to like squeeze up the top, get that little bubble, and then run your lashes through it. It's a pain in the butt, that one. So with this, you literally just paint the edge of it. I do have a lash application video, which I can link down below, that goes into a lot more detail on how to put these on and how to make sure they fit your eye too. Because usually they require trimming. So I've applied my own foundation because I didn't receive any to try out by Kiss, and I don't actually think Kiss makes foundation, but I have the Bourjois Healthy Mix Serum Foundation on. And now we're gonna go in with bronzer, blush, and highlighter with this gorgeous palette. This is an Ombre Radiance palette, and I think it's called Belgard. I mean, just look at it. How pretty is that? Anything that's got a gradient in it, I am so sold. So let me reach for my bronzer brush here. And I have to say, the bronzer over here is quite shimmery. Well, it is a Radiance palette, but let's see how that goes. Okay, it's a little bit pink tone for a bronzer. Because of the shimmer, I'm not sure I would ever say that this is a contour color. Wow, that's actually coming across quite pink. But I would never take a shimmery color and put that like to create a shadow. I'm not a contour person anyway, I prefer bronzer. But I'm saying that this one is coming across quite shimmery. I mean, at the end of the day, do what you want when it comes to makeup. If it makes you happy, then put it on your face, wherever you want. I'm gonna dip into the middle for blush. These are really pigmented. The lights kind of wash out the color that's going on my face. So there's a lot of color coming off on this palette. Just going to blend that out with my foundation sponge. And then with a smaller brush, I'm just gonna go into the brighter side, which is what I'm gonna use as a highlighter. So the very last thing I have to try out is a lip product, and the one I've chosen today is called The Queen. This is a creamy lipstick, and the shade in particular is called Bottoms Up. I love this kind of like orangey coral, so pretty. Oh, that's wild. It's like a mousse formula. It's so soft. The color is gorgeous. The texture is kind of balmy, it's definitely creamy, but it dries down to a matte finish. This is beautiful. So that is everything on my face by Kiss that I've tried out today. Let's run through the products and I can give you my thoughts on them. Now, the first thing I tried out is the eyeshadow palette, and I was pleasantly surprised with this. It's not always that you run into drugstore brands having great quality for eyeshadows. I feel like sometimes they can just be really chalky and unpigmented. These were actually quite soft, quite buttery, but most importantly, they had a ton of pigment in them, and I really just wasn't expecting that. So I'm personally happy to see that my eyeshadow is quite deep. It's pigmented, it's dark. This look came out quite dark, but it's got a tone to it that is not generally what I see with drugstore eyeshadow palettes, so I'm really happy about that. I did think that this was a little bit more copper toned originally in the packaging, but I can see where they get a little bit more of the pink coloring. However, most of the pink does come from this shade right here. So I do quite like this eyeshadow palette. I think it's a great option, and I would love to see more color options from them. I don't know if Kiss makes this in like a variety of different colors, but I would love to see something really vibrant by them in this kind of packaging and formulation. Next up, I tried the Luxury Intense eyeliner in the shade Bronze. This went on the lower waterline quite well. It wasn't stiff, chalky, or hard to apply. I don't know how long the color is going to last on the waterline because I haven't worn it for an extended amount of time at this point, but I did like how soft it was and how easy it was to apply. As for my eyelashes, I already knew that I like Kiss lashes, so it's really no surprise that I enjoyed these. These are quite a natural version of a lash. They're a little bit flared on the ends, but they don't look like too extreme. So I like these for days when I'm gonna go out, but it's not like nighttime. So these are really pretty. As for the lash adhesive, it's kind of hard to judge it based on the fact that I just haven't worn it out for an evening. The lashes did go on pretty easily, not that different from my regular lash adhesive. I do like that it is latex free though, because there's a lot of people that just can't wear anything with latex in it, so this would be beneficial to them. So yeah, lash adhesive is not the most exciting thing in the world, but this one does seem to be working out for me so far. As for the Ombre Radiance palette, this one was interesting. I feel like the colors are beautiful, but I almost feel like this product is a little bit too pigmented, but potentially too pigmented for somebody of my skin tone. It went on my face heavily pigmented. It seems to blend it out just fine now. Like, it looks quite pretty when I'm looking at the viewfinder on my monitor. But it took a little bit of blending out with my damp sponge that already had some foundation on it to make sure that the color was just not too apparent. So that makes me think that this might actually work for somebody who has a deeper skin tone than me. Clearly I can make it work, or at least I think I can, but because there's so much color pigment in here, this might be better suited to like a medium skin tone. That being said, I do really like the colors in here, and my gosh, is this ever a pretty product. And the last thing, my lip color. This was a knockout. I was so pleased with how this went on my lips. It feels comfortable. It doesn't feel like a lipstick at all. It's like a balm, but it's matte, and it's not an uncomfortable matte. It doesn't feel tight. It doesn't feel chalky. It's drying down to a matte finish, but I don't think it's transfer proof. Yeah, I get a little bit off, but that makes it feel a little bit more comfortable on the lips because it doesn't feel like paint. It honestly feels like a bit of a drier balm, as in my lips aren't too slippery. I don't want to give the impression that this is drying because it's not at all. It's just like a comfortable lip formula. I am so pleased with this lipstick. It's like my lips. And that almost never happens to me with lipstick. I never really feel like lipstick is that comfortable, but this stuff is incredible. I would love to see what other colors they have in this formula. So again, this is the Queen Creamy Lipstick. I love this shade though. Like, this is my perfect lip color shade. I'm so drawn to this kind of coral color. I'm so glad I have this color in particular. If I had to choose products out of this video that I think you would like, well, the lashes, first of all, I already knew that I loved Kiss lashes, but the lipstick, clearly I'm enjoying that, and then the eyeshadow palette. There's so much pigment in here and it goes on so nicely that I think the two of these are excellent picks by the brand. So that's gonna be it for my roundup of Kiss products. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know if you've tried out anything by the brand because I would love to hear your opinions on them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.